Captain Elias Varn floated above the barren surface of the planet, the small dropship hovering steadily as the pale sun cut through the thin atmosphere. The world below was a study in contradictions. Jagged mountains rose sharply into the sky, casting long shadows across flat plains dotted with strange crystalline formations. Yet the most striking feature was the ruins, massive, monolithic structures scattered across the terrain, their surfaces etched with alien symbols that shimmered faintly, as though alive. Elias adjusted the controls and checked the instruments again. Lander 2, ready for descent. Prepare for surface scan, he called over the comms. The rest of the team, spread across the ship, nodded silently. There was a quiet tension in the air. Humanity had explored many worlds, some alive, some dead, but this one felt different. The moment the lander's wheels touched the ground, Elias felt it, not a tremor or quake, but something subtler. The ruins seemed to respond to their presence. The symbols glimmered a little brighter, as if recognizing them. His pulse quickened. He had studied alien architecture for decades, but nothing in the archives prepared him for this. Sensors are reading energy pulses, said Dr. Mira Solon, the team's xenobiologist. Her voice was calm but tinged with awe. They're faint, but consistent. It's almost like the structures are aware of us. Structures don't get aware, Mira, Elias said with a faint smile. Yet even as he spoke, a corner of his mind considered the possibility. The ruins were old, far older than humanity itself. The civilization that built them was extinct. How could dead architects leave anything that responded so subtly, so deliberately, to the presence of living beings? The team began their survey carefully. The first ruin was enormous, a tower that stretched higher than any skyscraper on Earth. Its surface smooth and reflective, like black glass. Elias stepped forward, his boots echoing in the silence of the empty plains. With each step, the faint shimmer along the glyphs grew stronger. He held out a hand, almost instinctively, to touch one of the symbols. It pulsed under his fingers, warm and soft, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Captain, Mira whispered, it's like it's alive. Elias looked back at his team. Their eyes were wide, reflecting the same mixture of fear and wonder he felt. Or like it's waiting for something, he said. And maybe that something is us. They moved inside the tower. The entrance opened with a hiss, as if the structure itself had exhaled. The interior was unlike any human construction. The walls curved in impossible ways, forming hallways that seemed longer than the building should allow. Light bent unnaturally around corners, creating illusions that made the team hesitate at every step. As they advanced, the floor beneath them shifted minutely, almost imperceptibly, like water rippling underfoot. No mechanism was visible. Elias stopped and knelt to examine it. It's responding to our weight, he murmured. Every step we take. It moves slightly. Solon knelt beside him, her fingers brushing the floor. It's like the ruins are testing us, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Seeing how we react, Elias nodded slowly. Or measuring us. We might be more than just intruders. We could be participants. The team pressed on, deeper into the heart of the tower. Hallways split unexpectedly, creating choices that seemed arbitrary, yet somehow meaningful. The symbols on the walls changed as they passed, forming patterns that no human language could describe. Yet Elias felt as though his mind understood them on some level. The ruins were communicating, they were alive, and they were aware of the human's presence. Hours passed, though time felt strange within the tower. The sun outside shifted slowly. But inside, light seemed to move in unpredictable ways. The team navigated hallways that twisted and turned in impossible geometries, yet each turn revealed something new. Chambers filled with crystal growths, floors that reflected the humans as though in liquid, and glyphs that shimmered with hidden messages. Finally, they reached the central chamber. It was massive, a cavernous space with a ceiling that seemed to vanish into shadows. At the center was a platform, slightly raised, with a single glyph larger and more intricate than any they had seen. It pulsed with a gentle light, beckoning. Elias approached first, drawn to it. Every instinct screamed caution, yet curiosity won. He stepped onto the platform. The moment his boot touched the glyph, the chamber shifted, walls moved with quiet, deliberate grace, revealing pathways that had been hidden moments before. The team gasped, collectively. "What did you do?" Solon asked, eyes wide. I think it recognized me," Elias said. "Or maybe it recognized humans." The chamber seemed to respond further, as if evaluating the team. Symbols glowed brighter, and the air itself seemed charged, humming with energy. The structures were alive in a way no machine could replicate, and they were aware of the human's presence in a way the original architects might never have imagined. Elias studied the newly revealed pathways. Each one led deeper, yet each seemed designed to challenge understanding, to force them to think creatively. It was not just a test of physical ability but of intelligence, intuition, and perhaps morality. The team moved cautiously, following the corridors as they shifted to accommodate their passage. At one point, a wall extended to block their way, only to retract moments later when a member of the team placed a hand on a glyph and interpreted its meaning. Each trial was subtle but demanding, requiring teamwork, trust, and human intuition. "This place," Solon said softly, "it wasn't built for aliens. It wasn't built for machines. It was waiting for something like us. Something unpredictable. Something creative." Elias nodded. He had felt it too. Humans were unique, not in strength or speed, but in the ability to imagine, adapt, and surprise. Perhaps that was what the ruins sensed. As they progressed, the air grew warmer, charged with energy that seemed alive. The symbols on the walls pulsed faster, in rhythm with something Elias could not hear, yet felt deep in his chest. Every step the humans took seemed to awaken a part of the ruins, a part that had waited, silently, for countless centuries. Then, at the far end of the chamber, a massive stone archway descended from the ceiling. Inside, a room glowed with soft, radiant light. As they approached, holographic images appeared in the air maps of distant worlds, star systems they had never explored, and schematics of technology far beyond anything humanity had achieved. Elias felt a thrill he could not suppress. This is incredible. We're not just discovering ruins. We're discovering knowledge, tools, technology, everything the architects left behind. Solon stepped closer to the holograms, her fingers hovering just above them. "It's like it wants us to understand it, to learn it, to use it." The team fell silent, each member lost in thought. The ruins were alive, aware, and perhaps even intelligent, and somehow they had chosen to reveal themselves to humans, to test them, to see what they could do. Elias took a deep breath. "We've only just begun. This is just the first step." As he spoke, the platform beneath his feet pulsed with light, almost like a heartbeat. The ruins shifted once more, the walls moving to open new paths, revealing chambers and corridors that had not been visible moments ago. It was as if the entire structure was breathing, alive in ways humanity had never imagined. The explorers understood, in that moment, that this planet was not simply abandoned. It had been waiting for a species capable of imagination, courage, and adaptability. Waiting for humans. Elias looked at his team, determination in his eyes. "We proceed carefully, but we proceed boldly. We have no idea what we'll find. But every step we take is part of something far greater than us. Something the galaxy has never seen before." The team nodded. They were tired, yes, but energized by the knowledge that they were part of something extraordinary. As they moved deeper into the shifting corridors, Elias felt the thrill of exploration like never before. Every step, every decision, every observation mattered. The ruins were alive, and they had begun to respond not just to presence, but to the essence of humanity itself. And in the quiet of the central chamber, As symbols pulsed and light shimmered across the walls, Elias realized something profound. Humanity was not simply discovering this world. Humanity was awakening it. The first step had been taken, and the ruins had shifted. The moment they stepped into the newly revealed corridors, a strange sense of purpose filled the air. The ruins, once silent and indifferent, now seemed to pulse with intention, as if observing every movement, every glance, every breath. Captain Elias Varn led the way, his boots echoing softly on the smooth floor. The symbols along the walls glowed faintly, changing with each step, forming sequences that seemed to respond to their decisions. "This place," Mira Solon whispered, her eyes wide as she traced her fingers along the glyphs. Elias nodded, a thrill running through him. "Not just learning, Mira. It's reacting, adapting, testing." He paused for a moment, studying the next corridor. The walls shifted subtly, narrowing in some places and widening in others, forming a path that guided them forward. This is not random. Every movement we make, every decision we take, it's part of its design. The corridors twisted impossibly, looping back on themselves in ways that seemed to defy physics. The team's instruments, which normally measured distance, space, and energy, struggled to keep pace. Every turn, every junction, every chamber felt alive, as though the ruins themselves had a consciousness. As they moved deeper, a soft hum began to fill the corridors. At first, it was faint, almost imperceptible. But soon, it grew into a rhythm, subtle, but unmistakable. Elias felt it in his chest, a vibration that resonated with his heartbeat. The ruins were alive in a way that was beyond any mechanical or digital system they had ever encountered. It was as if the planet itself, or perhaps the civilization that built it, had left behind a memory, a living intelligence that could interact with sentient beings. At one junction, a massive stone door descended silently from the ceiling. It blocked their path, but instead of panic, curiosity filled the team. Elias approached the glyphs etched on its surface. They pulsed gently, almost beckoning him to decipher their meaning. He traced his fingers along the symbols, instinct guiding his touch. To his surprise, the door responded instantly. A series of faint clicks echoed as the door slowly rose, revealing a chamber bathed in soft, golden light. Inside, the chamber was filled with strange crystalline formations, each one humming with energy. The crystals seemed to respond to the presence of the humans, glowing brighter as they approached, and dimming slightly as they stepped back. Elias felt a surge of awe. This was not mere decoration. The crystals were part of the ruins' consciousness, acting as nodes in a network that spanned the entire planet. "Look at this," Solon said, moving closer to a cluster of crystals. "They're reacting to our thoughts, or maybe our intentions. It's like they can sense curiosity, focus, even hesitation." Elias nodded, stepping closer. He reached out and touched one of the crystals. A rush of images flooded his mind. Star maps, alien ships, distant planets, and technologies beyond anything humanity had achieved. The images were not chaotic. They were organized, meaningful, as if the ruins were offering knowledge to those who could understand it. "This is incredible," Elias whispered. "The ruins are not just alive, they're intelligent. They've been waiting for someone to interpret them." Solon's eyes sparkled with excitement. "And it seems they've chosen us, or at least, humans." As they explored the chamber, the ruins continued to react to them in subtle ways. Corridors shifted, revealing new passages. Symbols pulsed with new patterns, forming sequences that challenged their minds. Every puzzle they solved seemed to awaken a new part of the ruins, as if the structure itself was learning from their actions and rewarding them with knowledge and access. Hours passed, though time felt fluid inside the ruins. The outside sun moved across the sky, but within the walls, the team's perception of time warped. They followed corridors that twisted in impossible geometries, navigated chambers that seemed to extend infinitely, and solved puzzles that required both logic and intuition. Each success brought them deeper into the ruins, and with each step, the sense of awe grew. At one point, they entered a vast chamber filled with holographic projections. Star systems spun in three-dimensional space, their light casting shadows on the walls. Alien ships of unknown design moved along predetermined routes, while symbols and data streams floated in the air. Elias could feel the weight of knowledge pressing down on him. The ruins were offering secrets of the galaxy, knowledge that had been hidden for millennia. "This is beyond anything we imagined," Elias said, his voice trembling slightly. "Maps? Technology? History? It's all here." Solon reached out to a floating hologram of a star system. Her fingers passed through the projection, yet the image responded, shifting and rotating as though acknowledging her touch. "It wants us to understand it," she said softly. "Not just to see it, but to interact with it, to learn from it." Elias studied the projections carefully. Among the stars and ships, a pattern began to emerge. A fleet, long thought extinct, was moving across the galaxy. The ruins highlighted their path, showing how they traveled from system to system, leaving devastation in their wake. Humanity had never encountered this fleet before, and yet the ruins were alerting them to its presence. "Look at this," Elias said, pointing to the projections. "The ruins are warning us. Or maybe testing us. They're showing us a threat and watching how we react." Solon's brow furrowed. "It's more than a warning, it's a challenge. The ruins want to see if we're capable of handling it." The chamber hummed, and the crystals along the walls pulsed in unison. Elias felt a sudden rush of clarity. The ruins were alive, aware, and intelligent. They were testing humans not just physically, but mentally and morally. They wanted to see if humanity possessed the creativity, courage, and judgment necessary to wield the knowledge they offered. As the team moved deeper into the chamber, the ruins began to communicate more directly. Symbols formed sequences that conveyed meaning without words. Holographic projections displayed scenarios and outcomes, challenging the humans to solve problems that required thinking beyond conventional logic. Every choice they made, every step they took, influenced the environment around them. The ruins were not passive, they were active participants in their journey. Elias realized something profound. Unlike machines or predictable alien species, humans were unpredictable. Their creativity, intuition, and moral reasoning were traits that no algorithm could replicate. The ruins responded to this unpredictability, adapting to their choices in ways that were subtle but profound. "This is why they've chosen us," Elias said quietly. "Not because we're strong or fast, but because we're human. We think in ways no other species does. We adapt, we imagine, we make decisions that can't be predicted. That's what these ruins recognize." Solon nodded, her eyes reflecting the glowing symbols. "It's testing us. Yes. But it's also teaching us. Showing us what we're capable of." As they progressed, the ruins revealed more secrets. Chambers filled with alien technology, maps of uncharted worlds, and records of civilizations long gone. Each discovery was more astonishing than the last, and yet Elias felt a sense of caution. The knowledge was vast, powerful, and potentially dangerous. The ruins were offering humanity a gift, but it was not one to be taken lightly. Hours turned into a full cycle of the planet's rotation, and the team finally reached a chamber unlike any other. It was immense, its walls disappearing into shadows, with a ceiling that seemed to vanish into infinity. At the center was a platform, glowing softly, with a single glyph larger and more intricate than any they had seen. It pulsed with light, almost like a heartbeat, and Elias felt a deep resonance in his chest. "This must be the heart of the ruins," Elias said, stepping closer. The symbols along the walls pulsed in response, guiding him forward. "Whatever is controlling this place, it's aware of us, and it's waiting for a decision." Solon joined him at the platform. "A decision?" she asked. "What kind of decision?" Elias studied the glyphs carefully. They seemed to convey possibilities, outcomes, and consequences. The ruins were asking something of them, testing their judgment. It was a challenge not of strength, but of wisdom and morality. As he placed his hand on the central glyph, the platform pulsed brighter. Images flooded their minds, scenarios across the galaxy, civilizations rising and falling, choices that led to creation or destruction. The ruins were showing them the power they could wield and the responsibility that came with it. "This is it," Elias whispered. "This is what the ruins have been waiting for. They want to see if we're capable of handling what they can give us. They want to see if humans are worthy." Solon reached out and touched the glyph beside his. The symbols shimmered, reacting to the combined touch of the humans. A soft hum filled the chamber, growing louder, resonating with the very walls. The ruins were alive, and they were awakening fully in response to humanity. Elias felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever experienced. The ruins were no longer just ancient structures, they were a living, intelligent network, responsive to thought, creativity, and morality. And they had chosen humans to engage with them, to understand them, to inherit their knowledge. "This is only the beginning," Elias said, looking at his team. "We've discovered the ruins, yes. But now, we must prove ourselves. Every step from here on will matter. The galaxy is watching, and so is this place, and I have a feeling it's only going to get harder from here." The team nodded, understanding the gravity of what lay ahead. The ruins had awoken, and humanity had been recognized as something special, something capable of shaping destinies beyond any other species. Every decision, every act of courage, and every display of ingenuity would now be part of the test. And as the corridors shifted, glowing symbols pulsed brighter, and the hum of energy filled the air. Elias realized the truth. The ruins had chosen humanity, not for their strength or numbers, but for their creativity, intuition, and the spark of unpredictability that made them unique. The trials had begun, and the humans would have to rise to meet them. The deeper they went into the ruins, the more the environment seemed to challenge them. Corridors twisted in ways that defied geometry. Floors appeared solid, yet shifted slightly beneath their weight. Walls sometimes closed in, only to widen again at the last moment. The symbols pulsed faster now, responding not just to presence but to thought, as if the ruins were trying to gauge the humans' minds. Captain Elias Varn led the team through a vast chamber filled with hovering platforms. Each platform moved in a precise rhythm, some rising while others fell. The group had to step carefully, timing their movements exactly to avoid being trapped or separated. "This isn't just a test of intellect," Solon said, watching as one of her colleagues barely managed to jump onto a rising platform. "It's a test of coordination, timing, and courage." Elias nodded. "And observation. The ruins are watching how we think, how we act, how we respond under pressure." As they moved through the chamber, the walls began projecting images, scenarios from countless worlds across the galaxy. Battles, explorations, civilizations rising and falling. At first, the team thought it was only to impress them, but Elias quickly realized that each image posed a problem to solve. A star was about to collapse, and the symbols asked them to find a solution. A fleet was trapped in an asteroid field, and the glyphs challenged them to chart a safe path. "These aren't just images," Elias said, pointing to the projections. "They're interactive. The ruins want to see how we respond. They're testing our judgment, our creativity." Solon studied one projection, her fingers tracing an invisible path through a collapsing star system. "It's amazing," she whispered. "The ruins are giving us problems that no algorithm could solve. Only a mind that can think beyond rules, beyond patterns, could succeed here. Only a human mind." The trials grew more intricate. At one point, the floor beneath them split into a labyrinth of shifting pathways. Each path appeared safe at first, but only some led forward. Choosing incorrectly triggered subtle traps, a wall sliding too close, a platform retracting beneath a step. Each wrong choice, however, revealed more about the ruins themselves. They adapted, altering the labyrinth to test different approaches. Elias studied the maze carefully. We need to think ahead, but also trust our instincts. These ruins are alive, yes, but they're also intelligent. They want to see how we combine logic, creativity, and intuition. One by one, the team navigated the shifting corridors, each member contributing in ways unique to them. One solved spatial puzzles instinctively, another interpreted the symbols in ways that revealed hidden paths, while Solan's ability to understand patterns in the projections guided them through the most complex sequences. It became clear that the ruins had been designed for a species capable of ingenuity, not rigid calculation. Machines would fail. Predictable beings would fail. Only humans, unpredictable and imaginative, could navigate these challenges. Hours or perhaps days, time felt strange within the shifting corridors passed before they reached a chamber larger than any before. Its walls were lined with translucent panels that glowed softly, and at the center was a massive sphere hovering above a pedestal. The sphere pulsed with energy, sending waves through the room that resonated with the human's heartbeat. "This must be a central control node," Elias said. "Or something equivalent. If the ruins are a network, this sphere might be its core intelligence." Solan approached cautiously. "It's alive. I can feel it. The energy. It responds to us." As Elias stepped closer, the sphere projected a series of images into the chamber. They saw glimpses of civilizations that had once encountered the ruins' creators. Each civilization faced choices, some failed, some succeeded, and the ruins recorded every outcome. Now it was humanity's turn. The sphere projected scenarios that required judgment, empathy, and ingenuity. One image showed a planet facing an environmental collapse. Symbols indicated that only coordinated action, combining multiple approaches, could save the civilization. Another scenario depicted a starship fleet trapped in a cosmic storm, and only a novel solution could guide them to safety. "These aren't just tests," Elias said quietly. "They're lessons. They're teaching us how to think, how to solve problems, how to act responsibly with power." Solan nodded. "And they're watching. They want to see if we can rise to the challenge, not just for ourselves, but for the galaxy." The team worked together, combining their knowledge, intuition, and creativity to solve each challenge. As they succeeded, the sphere pulsed brighter, and the walls of the chamber shifted to reveal new paths and new puzzles. Each success opened doors to greater understanding, while each failure, though minor, seemed to guide them to reconsider their approach. At one point, Elias realized that the ruins were testing not just intelligence or creativity, but morality. A scenario projected the consequences of their choices. Saving one civilization might lead to the suffering of another. The symbols seemed to ask, "What will you prioritize? What is worth risking for the greater good?" "This is different," Elias said, his voice heavy with thought. "They're asking not just if we can solve problems, but if we can make the right choices. Not every answer is easy. Not every choice has no cost." Quote. Solan looked at him, understanding the weight of the test. "And that's why they've chosen humans. Only a species capable of empathy, creativity, and courage could navigate this." The trials grew even more complex. At one moment, they found themselves on platforms suspended over a glowing chasm, the light below shifting in response to their movements. Symbols indicated that their actions affected the environment itself, that their decisions had consequences beyond immediate survival. The ruins were teaching them responsibility. Elias took a deep breath. "We've come this far. Every step matters. Every choice matters. We need to trust each other. Trust our instincts. And remember why we're here, not just for knowledge, but for understanding." Solan moved beside him. "And for the future. The ruins are preparing us for something bigger. Something beyond this planet." As they progressed, the sphere projected a final, massive scenario. A galaxy in turmoil. Civilizations on the brink of war, ancient technologies that could either destroy or save entire worlds. The symbols were complex, intertwining multiple challenges into one overarching test. The ruins were asking humanity to demonstrate the full range of their abilities: creativity, morality, courage, and teamwork. Elias studied the projections carefully. "This is it," he said. "The final trial. They want to see if humans can handle responsibility on a galactic scale. If we can make choices that are not only intelligent, but ethical, inventive, and compassionate." Solon nodded. "We need to think as one. And trust that our human instincts are enough. The ruins won't just test us, they'll shape us, guide us, and challenge us in ways we can't yet imagine." The team worked tirelessly, coordinating their actions, solving the intertwined problems, and demonstrating ingenuity that no single member could achieve alone. They debated, adapted, and adjusted strategies, each success making the sphere pulse brighter and the chamber more vibrant. As the last challenge was approached, the sphere projected a simple image. A single symbol, more intricate than any before. It radiated power, as if the ruins themselves waited for a final confirmation of humanity's worth. Elias stepped forward. Feeling the weight of the moment, he knew this was more than a test of intellect. It was a test of the human spirit. "We've come this far," he said quietly to the team. "Now we show the ruins what it means to be human. Not just clever, not just strong, but compassionate, imaginative, and brave. Every choice we make now matters." One by one, the team placed their hands on the central symbol, combining their intent, their understanding, and their courage. The chamber pulsed with light, the sphere resonating in harmony with the humans' actions. The ruins responded, not with threats or obstacles, but with recognition. They had watched, analyzed, and tested humanity, and they were satisfied. The walls shifted, revealing a new chamber filled with knowledge, maps, and technology beyond comprehension. The ruins had opened themselves fully, offering humanity the secrets of a civilization that had waited for someone capable of understanding and using them wisely. "This is," Solon whispered, her voice full of awe. Elias nodded, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they had achieved. "Not because we were strong or fast, but because we thought, imagined, and acted as humans. They recognized the qualities that make us unique: our creativity, empathy, and courage. That's why we've been chosen." The team explored the chamber in silence, each member lost in wonder. The ruins had not only tested them but had taught them, guided them, and revealed the vast potential of humanity. They had faced trials that challenged mind, body, and spirit, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. Elias gazed at the sphere, feeling the hum of energy in his chest. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The ruins have awakened, and humanity has been recognized. But now we must use what we've learned. Every choice from here on will shape our destiny. Not just on this planet, but across the galaxy." The ruins had shifted with their first steps, had tested their ingenuity and morality, and had acknowledged the human spirit. Humanity had proven itself worthy, not through force, but through creativity, intuition, and courage, the very traits that set them apart in a galaxy of civilizations. And as the team prepared to leave the chamber, they understood one truth above all. The trials were over, but their journey was only beginning. The galaxy awaited, and humanity had the knowledge, the courage, and the ingenuity to face it. The ruins had chosen them, and now it was time to rise to that responsibility. The chamber was alive, with light and energy, a symphony of colors pulsing through the air. Captain Elias Varn and his team stood at the center, their hands still resting on the central symbol. The ruins had tested them in mind, body, and spirit. Every choice, every action, every thought had been recorded, analyzed, and evaluated. Now, for the first time, the ruins seemed to wait, not with challenge, but with expectation. Elias felt the weight of the moment pressing on him. Beyond these walls lay knowledge, power, and understanding that could shape civilizations. He knew the choice they were about to make was far greater than any test they had faced. This was not simply about solving puzzles or navigating shifting corridors. This was about responsibility, the kind that could change the destiny of the galaxy itself. Solon stepped beside him, her eyes reflecting the pulsing lights. "Do you feel it?" she whispered. "It's not asking anymore. It's waiting to see what we will do with what we've been given." Elias nodded slowly. "Yes. And we must remember why we're here. Not for power, not for glory, but for understanding. For humanity." The sphere at the center of the chamber brightened, projecting images into the air. The projections showed civilizations rising and falling, entire worlds consumed by chaos, fleets destroyed by misjudgment, and species lost to mistakes. The ruins were offering a vision of potential, both the promise and the peril. It was a choice humanity had to make wisely. "This is what they've been preparing us for," Elias said quietly. "They've given us the knowledge, the perspective, and the trials. Now we decide how to use it." The team spread out slightly, each member examining a projection that called to them. One displayed a system rich in resources but vulnerable to exploitation. Another showed a civilization capable of incredible achievement, yet at risk from a neighboring warlike species. Each scenario required judgment: intervene, observe, protect, or guide. Each choice carried consequences that rippled across light years. Elias raised his hand, and the chamber responded. Symbols aligned themselves into patterns, guiding the humans to understand the relationships between the scenarios. The ruins were giving them a framework, not dictating answers, but showing paths and outcomes. The power was theirs to wield, but the responsibility was theirs to bear. Solon studied a projection of a fleet trapped in a collapsing asteroid field. "We could solve this," she said, "but doing so might alter the balance elsewhere. Every decision we make has weight." Elias's gaze swept across the chamber. "We've been tested. Yes. But now we must act not impulsively, not selfishly, but with wisdom, foresight, and humanity. That is what the ruins want to see." They began to make their choices. Each member contributed in their own way. The team debated, weighed consequences, and considered ethical implications. They combined logic with intuition, calculation with empathy. They were not perfect, but they were human. And that, Elias realized, was exactly what the ruins needed to witness. The chamber hummed, and the sphere pulsed in time with their actions. The ruins seemed to respond, recognizing not just intelligence, but the human spirit, the creativity, courage, and compassion that had guided them through every trial. Hours passed, though it felt like moments. The final projections displayed outcomes based on the team's decisions. Some civilizations thrived under human guidance. Others were given tools and knowledge to protect themselves. The trapped fleets were freed. Resources were allocated wisely. Conflict was avoided through careful intervention. Every choice demonstrated humanity's ability to act not only with skill, but with responsibility. Elias looked at the sphere, his chest rising with anticipation. "It's done," he said. "We've made our choices. We've shown them who we are, what humans can do." The chamber vibrated, and the sphere projected one final image, a vast network of the ruins, stretching across the planet and beyond, its light connecting distant worlds and civilizations. It was as if the entire network had awakened, acknowledging humanity as a worthy steward. Solon's eyes filled with awe. "They're accepting us, not just as explorers, but as partners, as guardians." Elias felt a surge of pride. Humanity had proven itself, not through force or dominance, but through ingenuity, empathy, and courage. The qualities that made them unpredictable, creative, and strong in ways no other species could match had earned them recognition. The ruins shifted once more, opening pathways that had remained hidden until now. Each pathway led to chambers filled with knowledge. Star maps of uncharted systems, schematics of technology far beyond anything humans had achieved, records of civilizations long lost. The team explored, marveling at the wealth of understanding before them. "This is incredible," Solon said softly. "The ruins have given us everything. Knowledge, technology, insight into the galaxy itself." Elias nodded. "And with it comes responsibility. The galaxy will watch what we do next. But we've learned, through trial and challenge, that humans are capable of more than just survival. We can guide, protect, and create. That is our gift. That is what the ruins recognized in us." As the team studied the chambers, the sphere projected a holographic representation of the galaxy. Lines of energy connected worlds, civilizations, and fleets, all moving in intricate patterns. Elias realized the full scope of what the ruins had offered. Humanity now had the tools to influence events on a galactic scale, not as conquerors, but as thoughtful stewards, capable of preventing catastrophe and fostering growth. Solon approached Elias, her expression filled with determination. "We can't waste this. Every decision we make from here on matters. The galaxy is watching, and the ruins have entrusted us with something extraordinary." Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "We won't waste it. We've been tested, and we've succeeded. But success is only the beginning. Now we act with wisdom, creativity, and courage, like humans always do." Outside the chamber, the ruins themselves seemed to shimmer and shift, as if acknowledging humanity's accomplishment. Structures that had remained static for millennia now moved subtly, aligning in new patterns. The entire planet vibrated with energy, alive in a way no one could have imagined. The ruins were not just structures, they were a living, intelligent network, now fully awakened and ready to share their knowledge with those deemed worthy. Elias led his team out of the central chamber. As they walked through corridors that now felt welcoming rather than testing, he reflected on how far they had come. They had faced challenges that tested intellect, creativity, courage, and morality. They had solved problems that no algorithm or predictable species could have managed. They had acted with responsibility, not recklessness, and the ruins had recognized their worth. Solon glanced around, marveling at the changes. "Everything is alive now," she said. "The ruins, the crystals, even the corridors themselves. They're responding to us." Elias smiled. "They've always been waiting, Mira. Waiting for someone capable of understanding them, of rising to the challenge. And now, they recognize humans. The galaxy will remember this moment, the moment humanity proved it could think, feel, and act beyond expectation." The team emerged onto the surface of the planet. The ruins stretched across the plains, monolithic structures pulsating with energy, glowing under the pale sunlight. The planet itself seemed to hum with life, a testament to the intelligence and care of the ancient civilization that had built it, and humanity had awakened it. Elias stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the ruins. He took a deep breath, feeling the enormity of what they had accomplished. "The first step we took, it changed everything. This planet, these ruins, the knowledge we've gained, it's all a result of one human step, one choice, one act of courage and curiosity." Solon joined him, placing a hand on his arm. "And it's just the beginning. The galaxy will test us again, in ways we can't yet imagine. But we've proven something important. Humans are capable of more than anyone expected. We can rise to challenges, adapt to the impossible, and act with wisdom." Elias nodded, eyes scanning the horizon. In the distance, new pathways in the ruins shimmered, opening possibilities the team could not yet explore. The ancient network had fully awakened, acknowledging humanity not as mere explorers, but as worthy stewards. The moment was profound, filled with quiet triumph. Humans had stepped where none had before, faced trials designed to challenge every aspect of their being, and emerged as the first species recognized by the ruins as capable of understanding and wielding knowledge responsibly. Elias felt a deep sense of purpose settle in his chest. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and civilizations, some thriving, some lost to time. Humanity now had the tools, the knowledge, and the understanding to make a difference, not through force, not through domination, but through ingenuity, compassion, and courage, the qualities that had defined them since their earliest days on Earth. As the team prepared to leave the planet and return to their ship, Elias looked back at the ruins one last time. They shimmered in acknowledgement, alive with energy and intelligence. The world they had discovered was no longer forgotten, no longer inert. It had been awakened by humanity, and in doing so, humanity had been recognized as special, unique, in ways no other species in the galaxy could claim. "This is a new beginning," Elias said, turning to his team. "The ruins have chosen us, and now it's our turn to rise to that responsibility. We've proven what humans can do. The galaxy will remember." Solon smiled, determination shining in her eyes. "And we won't let it down. Not now, not ever." The team boarded the dropship, leaving the glowing planet behind. Yet the memory of the awakened ruins, the trials they had faced, and the recognition they had earned would remain with them forever. Humanity had stepped forward, proven its worth, and awakened a power that could change the course of the galaxy. And as the dropship ascended, leaving the planet's surface behind, Elias looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But humanity was ready. Humans were unpredictable, creative, courageous, and wise. The ruins had acknowledged it, and now the galaxy would see it too. The first step had awakened the ruins. Humanity had stepped forward, and nothing would ever be the same again.